Chaplaincy is, the funny thing is I do this for a living, so it's hard to encapsulate a very succinct definition of it. What we call sort of pastoral care, religious care, encompasses looking out for the spiritual, psychological, emotional needs of the population you're dealing with, of the community you're dealing with, offering a non-anxious presence, a lot of deep reflective listening, journeying with people, walking with people through their difficult moments in life, and as needed, being as helpful as possible. Our office it's a very welcoming space. We have this idea of the ministry of gastronomy, is that you feed the mind, you feed the body, and you feed the soul. And part of that feeding the body is that we have free ice cream. And the free ice cream there is that we all want to tap into our inner child at times and need to.
Here comes Mr. Softy, the soft ice cream man.
And part of that is who doesn't like ice cream. So I love chocolate. Anything to do with chocolate is a go-to for mine. That's how I would sort of define the dimensions of chaplaincy.
How would you describe yourself? Demeanor, your energy?
No, it's a great question. I am. My grandfather was born in pre-partition British India. And he had a very good civil servant job as a veterinarian and would travel around to the villages and farms. But he was also deeply troubled by working for the colonial government, for the British government. And the story is that he ultimately left the civil service. He opened up a pharmacy and a medical dispensary. Just the money that he saved was always traveling around our village, around the town, and just looking for people to help. You know, people coming to say, we need money for our business, you know, we need someone in our family is sick, we need to pay expenses, or can you help us out? Very religiously devout and spiritually connected to his community. In 1986 is when we ultimately settled in Binghamton, New York. That's when my father started his medical practice. And then I started 5th grade in elementary school. From an early age, I would say around that time, I felt very acutely aware of difference. There were very few racial or ethnic minorities in my school, especially at elementary school. And so, you know, you understand you stand out, your skin color, religion, your culture, your customs. And so really you have that what they call dual consciousness, right? So at home, you know, the food we ate, the sort of the cultural customs we had in the house were very much of our Pakistani Muslim heritage. And then you're going to public school and you have friends and you ride the bus with classmates and you have after school activities and things like that. So you have that other part of your consciousness to develop this ability to walk through, in different spaces. High school can be a very confusing time and also trying to navigate this bicultural existence. And I mean, I had, honestly, a Sunday school Islamic education. My understanding is my father wanted us to stay connected to our family and to our culture. And so when I went, I fell in love with my culture, especially in the big cities in Karachi and Lahore. There's a certain noise and a frenetic energy from the congestion of the traffic to the heat and the humidity. And the food is absolutely delicious. I would have what now people call like a spiritual awakening, and I was like started deeply questioning what it is that I wanted to have my own spiritual journey look like, and how I wanted to learn more about Islam. For many South Asian immigrant children, there is the stereotype and expectation of medicine or engineering. I went in open-minded to college, and by first semester freshman year, I took an intro to lit theory class, fell in love with literature and philosophy, took an intro to chemistry class, and my spirits were crushed. And then concurrent with that, in my summers, 2+ months every summer, I was going to a traditional Islamic seminary in Buffalo, New York. I went to the teachers and the scholars there and said I literally just wanted exposure and I wanted to be there. We call it suhba, companionship or good company of traditional Islamic teachers. So the reason I mention that is it really sort of, like I was studying English literature, and I ultimately, when I graduated college, I wanted to be a journalist and applied and got into Cornell's media studies program right out of college. And I was very interested in the way that Muslims were framed in print media, in broadcast media, the stereotype, the Islamophobic frames that Muslims were cast. I wanted to study that.
It's 8:52 here in New York, and we understand that there has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center. We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that.
9/11 was a Tuesday. I don't remember the Monday. I don't remember what happened the day before. People of my generation talk about it, is that there's almost a doubly traumatic effect. Right? We're shocked and horrified as Americans on this attack that happened on America. And then as Muslims, even deeper shocked and traumatized. People purporting to call themselves Muslims would have done this.
Help us in our distress. Keep us together as people of diverse faiths, colors, and races. Keep our country strong for the sake of the good and righteousness, and protect us, our Lord, from all evil. Amen.
There was this tremendous curiosity. Journalists looking for interviews, the public library holding a session on Islam for the community, panels on college campuses to wanting to come and talk about making sense of what was going on. And so I really got involved at that point with a lot of this, what I call public outreach work.
Let me see if I understand the question again. Could you just rephrase the question very quickly and succinctly?
There are attacks theologically, religiously, in the basic belief system, leading the belief that leads to instant paradise. I mean, that is a commonly held Islamic belief among all of you, would you say?
No, well, I think once again, this is an excellent opportunity to educate the media. I can't do a class or comparative religion 101 here in the National Press Club, but I would advise members of the media to, once again, talk with sound Muslim theologians and just don't take sound bites from little pieces and snippets of things that are being thrown out there. That whole concept, that is a pejorative concept and it's a misconcept about Islam. Thank you.
There was good journalism and reporting and there was bad journalism and reporting that came out in the aftermath of 9/11. There were many people that were talking heads, that were academics, that had PhDs, that were speaking on behalf of Muslims and speaking on behalf of the Muslim community, pontificating on their understanding of global affairs and the Muslim community. Some of it was, I think, thoughtful and intelligent and accurate, and some of it, dare I say, much of it was also inaccurate and was biased. It also happened that Cornell had hired a Muslim faculty member in Arabic and Islamic studies by the name of Professor Shaukat Turawa. Being with him as an extraordinary intellectual, as an academic who was a practicing Muslim, that had a huge impact on me. And so one of the things that emerges is in one of my conversations with Professor Shaukat Turawa, he had encouraged me to think about going into academia and to doing a PhD. And he said that God has given you certain gifts, certain aptitudes, and you need to think deeply about what you want to do with those gifts and where you want to apply them. I loved all of the outreach, all of the public engagement, all of the religious service, but there are only 24 hours in a day. You know, I'd say soul searching and praying to God for discernment and to guide me. And so I had a heart-to-heart with Professor Shaukat and with my family on really having to pick path. And ultimately, I left the program with the MA in Islamic Studies, trying to figure out what I do. I applied for so many jobs. I applied to be a ESL teacher. I applied to be a librarian. I applied to be a high school teacher. I applied to do all number of things and kept getting rejected.
You've got mail.
And then, as life would have it, I met Imam Sultan. Imam Suhaib at that time was in the program at Hartford Seminary, and it happened to be that I went to Cornell with his brother-in-law. And so Saif and I were talking, and I was like talking about what my passion is and what I think I want to do. And he said, you should really talk to my brother-in-law. I said, who's your brother-in-law? He said, my brother-in-law is Suhaib Sultan, and the guy that wrote the Quran for Dummies. And I said, your brother-in-law wrote the Quran for Dummies, like the Quran for Dummies that they sell at Barnes & Noble, like of this famous series? He's like, yeah, that's my brother-in-law. And then I heard about Dr. Ingrid Mattson, and Dr. Mattson and I had a phone call, and she encouraged me to come visit. And I knew next to nothing about chaplaincy at the time, and I just told her my story. And Dr. Mattson had mentioned something about campus chaplaincy, about educational chaplaincy, really as being this intersection between community work in this academic environment where you're engaging with students and staff and faculty and the broader campus community, in student affairs, but religious life and spiritual caregiving. It was really this intersection of all these things, which looking back is what I was ultimately searching for, right? So I applied and got into the graduate certificate in Islamic Chaplaincy program.
You've got mail.
I felt like I had the qualifications. It was beyond my dreams, right, to imagine getting a job at a place, an institution like Yale as a Muslim chaplain. And it was a national search that they did. And so I got the information, I applied. I was also very, I would say, unsure. And so I went to my spiritual teacher, someone that I've always gone to for counsel, and said, I don't know if I belong here. And he said that, Allah opens doors, and He's opened this door for you. If you walk through this door, you then assume the responsibility that comes with that. Take that seriously and fulfill that responsibility and serve the community.
Omer Bajwa, coordinator of Muslim life at Yale University, counsels Muslim students.
In a time of increasing religiosity, but also increasing secularism, is, where are the fault lines?
Imam Omer Bajwa, chaplain at Yale University.
Pastoral care and spiritual mentorship and, sort of virtual community building, right? Making ourselves as available as we can to the community.
Omer Bajwa, who's the chaplain and director of Muslim life at Yale's chaplain's office, is here to tell us about Ramadan.
Dear God, I thank you for allowing me to stand here next to my dear brother, Imam Bajwa.
When I look back in my own experience, I didn't have a chaplain, but there were certain pivotal people in my life that effectively served that role. And, I took from the best that I could from those different people, and it really indelibly impacted my life. That's what I get up every day trying to do my best at, because, you want to share with someone something that you didn't have access to. I'd like to think that because of what I deeply love and admire in people in my life, my teachers, people that I deeply respect and love, is one of compassion. God puts us in situations and is looking for how we respond. And these can be situations, opportunities, and also tribulations. And as you go through the inevitable vicissitudes of life and the pain of life and the traumas of life, the aspiration, as I reflect on the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and the exemplary lives of my teachers and people that I look up to, at the core of that service has to come from a place of compassion and empathy. So that's the goal.
Nice.
And ice cream is that